and welcome to the NFT MetaJungle. I am Emma, aka Nifty Meta Girl, and very happy to be bringing you another installment of our 12-part series where we're featuring photographers and amazing photographs that are currently being featured in our In Real Life gallery taking place at Venice Biennale in Venice, Italy. Now, this exhibit is in conjunction with SuperChief Galleries and is sponsored by MetaJungle. It has been curated by myself and AlphaTrilogy, and all of the 98 photos have been collected by AlphaTrilogy himself. Throughout the exhibit, we're featuring, again, 98 photographs taken by 90 photographers and featuring multiple genres of photography. The title of this exhibit is Discovering Photography in Web3, and it is our hope that we are able to share our passion for photography, especially in the NFT space, with others to really understand the opportunity that Web3 is bringing to photography. So our goal has been to highlight artists that may be early in their journey, those that are already established, and world-renowned artists that have all come into the Web3 space. And in this episode, we feature photographers that definitely fall into those three categories. So I'm very excited to share with you the beautiful artwork and some of the exciting projects that are being included for this particular series. Now today, with the 8 photographers and the 8 photographs, these are all going to fall into a category that we termed travel and lifestyle photography. Now that may be a loose genre, but we really feel like these photographs fall into that category. Within the exhibit, we have 12 different scenes, which for our podcast, we're featuring in 12 different episodes. And each of these scenes have 8 photographs that are displayed at the same time and are going to be rotating about every 30 seconds. So in about a 6-minute time period, we're going to be able to see all of these 98 photographs on display, and visitors are going to be able to view this entire display within that 6-minute time period. Now, this exhibit is running for the entire month of November, so we're really excited for the opportunity to have lots and lots of people hopefully see these photographs while they're visiting Venice Biennale. So today we're going to be featuring lifestyle and travel photography, and I'm very excited to be sharing this first award-winning photographer with you. This is Joel Meyerowitz. He lives and works in New York and Italy, and over his career, he is a multi-award-winning photographer. His work has appeared in over 350 exhibits in museums and galleries around the world. He's celebrated as a pioneer of color photography, and he is also a 2-time Guggenheim Fellow, a recipient of both National Endowment for the Arts and National Endowment for Humanities Awards, and the recipient of the Royal Photographic Society's Centenary Medal. In addition to the amazing locations that his artwork has been featured in, he also has published over 40 books, and he is represented by the Howard Greenberg Gallery in New York, the Polka Gallery in Paris, and the Huxley Parlor Gallery in London. So he definitely falls into the category of world-renowned photographer. And this is another series that has been introduced into the NFT space. Thanks to Fellowship Trust. So as I've mentioned in several of these videos, Fellowship Trust is a group within the NFT space that has helped introduce some of the world-famous photographers into Web3. And it's really amazing what they're doing to onboard these world-renowned artists and connect them with collectors in the NFT space, both providing a level of trust for the artist and the collector and education to help those in the Web3 space learn about how significant and how important these photographs are. And with Joel Meyerowitz, he definitely falls in that category. I absolutely love his work. It's been a real joy to be able to learn more about everything that he has created during his career. Now, with this particular collection, Joel shares with us that he took himself to Providence Town on Cape Cod so he could summer with his family and learn how to see an 8x10, in which the image is upside down and reversed, while beginning to learn to use time in seconds rather than thousandths of a second. And he says, well, Cape Cod is not Fifth Avenue, but the light out there on the 60th mile long sandbar in the Atlantic is unlike light on the mainland. Every molecule of moisture refracts light like a prism, where on the mainland there is a particle of dirt in every drop of atmosphere. Once I recognized that, then everything changed. Light in all its intensity and tone became my subject. Just as in a 35 millimeter, you can only photograph where you are and what you see there. Which is a great quote by Joel about this particular series. And something I love about this series is that, just like the image that we've selected, which is entitled Provincetown, Massachusetts, 1977, even a scene that might be considered as common has just amazing color and just the way that he combines colors and lights and brings out the unusual in what is the seemingly ordinary is just such an amazing talent. And in this piece, I love the whitewash of the buildings and the posts and the chimneys, but how the blue just pops off of that white. I love how her chair's coordinating with the houses and even down to her swimsuit. Just everything coordinates so well. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful piece. And Joel has said that this is taken in Shoreline Village, blue shutters, women in blue cottages, blue bathing suit, chair, seated, walkway, clouds, portrait, domesticity, surreal, shingles, door, lawn, which is a great, great description for this particular piece. And Alpha has said, Joel is one of my heroes, not just a legendary photographer, but due to his understanding of Web3 and how it can progress photography within the fine art world. So we have definitely been excited to see Joel come into the NFT space and very excited for where that's going to lead. Now, our next photographer that we have featured in this series is one that we've gotten to know very well in the MetaJungle community. This is Dan Hawk, and Dan is an adventure and outdoor photographer based out of Portland, Oregon, and he has a passion for telling a great visual story about how it feels to be in a place, at a moment, and with a certain group of people. Dan Hawk's love for his surroundings also come through in his work. He has a beautiful portfolio of landscape photography, and oftentimes the proceeds are related to donations to help support these particular areas. He was born and raised in Oregon, and you can really see his love for the state shining through in everything that he does. Now, the particular piece that we have concluded in this curated selection is a little bit different than what we typically know Dan for, because it is more of a travel photo, more from a city type setting. But this is from his collection entitled "People of Portlandia." And it is entitled The Musicians. And he says in the collection description, Portlandia, you may have seen the show, laughed a bit, and thought, that looks like a fun place to visit. The reality of living in Portland is really different than you've seen, and it hits close to home. Portland is quirky, odd, beautiful, diverse, and special in so many ways. But I've always thought the people are a defining part. I've lived in Portland for 20 years, and in that time, I've spent a lot of it walking the streets, bike commuting, finding the best food carts, and asking strangers to make their portrait. People of Portlandia is a body of street photography created over the last 10 years, documenting the diverse population, oddities, and variety of things that we view as just day-to-day in Portlandia. So again, his love and passion for this community that he grew up in definitely shines through. And a fun detail about Dan is he actually was in a band when he was younger. So this piece plays a cool reference to his personal experience as well. The piece is entitled Radio Wolf, and he says that's the band name. Love the way these guys just found an open doorway and made it happen. This doorway is a restaurant that was closed for renovation, and with the wild amount of small businesses popping up and making good of it, there's always something recently closed or getting ready to open. Pretty common spot for musicians and performers to set up shop. So I'm sure visiting Portland, there is the opportunity to see a scene very similar to this. And Alpha has said about this, Dan magically captured 3 artists that are more passionate about their art than the pursuit of monetizing it. You can feel the passion in this photo. Thus, it's one of my favorites. And something that's cool about this particular piece too is it could have been taken last week or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. It's a very timeless piece. So again, love the emotion that is evoked here and also the passion that shines through. Now, our next artist that we are featuring is a documentary photographer, and he has a very, very interesting portfolio, but his name is Robert LeBlanc. And Robert it's said that his work is marked by an uncommon intensity and intimacy. The product of a career spent documenting subcultures, rappers, and raw corners of the world from a position of extreme closeness. And I just love that juxtaposition, that he really does find these people that typically might be thought of as maybe outliers of outliers of regular society, but also is able to really blend in to his surroundings, connect with the people that are around him, and capture their story in such an intimate way. It's been said that his projects are often the result of years' worth of trust building, and he has built a practice of finding and gaining intimate access to undiscovered and revelatory slices of life that speak with great power to a world in upheaval. He has documented hotshot firefighters, hurricane survivors, Pentecostal snake handlers, and the American sideshow scene. In his book, Unlawful Conduct, which pre-sold out in 8 countries, has been carried in leading art bookstores around the world, including MoMA and the Frye Art Museum. His upcoming book, A New America, is a panoramic exploration of daily life and in the wild fringes of the country in uncommon times, seen by a photographer with an uncommon lens. Really, really great description. And that's actually the book that's coming out. The New America is the series that we have selected this particular image from. A New America does capture such an amazing group of people throughout the fringes of the country. And Robert does have such an amazing eye for capturing these moments that I think others may just take as ordinary. Now, the particular piece that we have selected for this exhibit is entitled A New America number 69. And I just love the emotion that is emoted, the questions that are asked by this man who is just laying in the grass face down. He looks like he may have just given up, but there is definitely a story behind it. This has been one that I know AlphaTrilogy has displayed in different online galleries that he's worked on and created, but it's just a really, really great piece. And AlphaTrilogy has said about this piece, questions, questions, questions. If you're looking for answers, keep moving. Another one of my favorite photos collected to date. This has been one that I do think grows on you the longer that you're familiar with it and the more that you see it. But I feel that way about so many other pieces within this New America collection. You're able to see people that you feel like you would see if you're just walking down the street, but yet their stories are captured in such an interesting way. And another cool thing to mention about Robert LeBlanc, he is continuing on this series, and he currently is working on a new collection called 10 Lizards, which is very innovative. He's actually working with another artist that we'll be mentioning in this set as well, Barry Sutton with 96 Studios. But Robert is creating this opportunity for collectors to actually help curate a collection, be involved in a collection prior to it even being created. So AlphaTrilogy and I are both involved with that project as collectors, but there's 10 ticket holders. Robert is traveling across the country via Amtrak and photographing these different communities that he has selected. And during this process, he's, of course, photographing these areas. He's visiting, capturing the stories, and there will be a curation process shared amongst the 10 collectors to create a collection of 45 pieces. But this is such an exciting and innovative way of being able to fund different photography projects and really be able to see what we can create out of it. So this is yet another exciting innovation that NFTs are lending to the photography community. So super excited to be involved. Robert keeps us up to date via Twitter, via Discord, sharing photos, sharing stories, and there's also a really fun voting mechanism that has been implemented so we can help make decisions along the way as to where he stays, where he eats, different things like that he lets us decide. So it has been a really cool project and definitely one that you should check out. But Robert's work is definitely deserving to be included in this particular series, and really, really glad to be able to tell you more about him. Now, the next photographer that we've included is very active in the NFT space. He actually began his photography career in New York City and has since actually moved to Italy, and he lives overseas where he teaches photography and actually has just come on board as a community manager for another NFT project. So it's really exciting to see how people come into the space and the ways in which they are able to create opportunities. But Fidel has been very active in the NFT space as a photographer, coming in and beginning to mint work in early 2021. A cool thing that I love about his work is it is all focused on black and white photography. But this photographer is Fidel Amos. And again, if you're involved in the photography scene and NFTs, you have probably run into him along the way. But his love for photography actually started as a hobby in college, and he then fell into the opportunity where he worked as a freelance photographer for numerous fashion brands, magazines, sports organizations, humanitarian organizations, and private clients. So photography has really allowed him to have so many different life experiences. And in 2015, he was offered a teaching position in Italy, and he's actually based out of Verona, and he teaches photography and English at a local university, and at a local university and school of fashion. And he, again, is, I think with his teaching background, he connects really well with providing, that encouragement that is really appreciated in the NFT space, and really being outgoing and able to connect with so many of us. But this particular piece that we have selected to include in this part of the curated exhibit is Black and White Nights. And this, in the description, we learned that the #1 selling black and white photography collection on OpenSea is nightlife photography. And what Fidel says about it is, I've done a lot during my career as a photographer, from nightclubs to private parties, protests to receptions. Some of the most unique events I've photographed have taken place after the sun goes down. The following is a collection of images I've taken over the years in various cities and on different dates. Most of these images have never been seen by the public before, so it's an absolute pleasure to release them for the first time in this collection. So it is a really amazing glimpse of behind the scenes, New York City, and you can definitely tell that he blends in with his surroundings and is able to really capture different moments. I've heard him speak about this collection, and these were people and places that he frequented, so he was able to kind of gain their trust. And even though he is not small in stature, he was able to gain their comfort and be able to really blend in and capture these amazing moments. And the actual piece that we have included in this exhibit is titled, "Come Here, My Love, the Train is Coming." And in the description, he notes that this was taken in New York in 2014, and simply says, a woman holds a child in her arms as the train approaches at the Lomere Street stop in Brooklyn. But it is just such a clean, crisp, beautiful black and white image, and it is kind of creating something special out of the ordinary. And AlphaTrilogy has said, a feel-good photo where being in black and white combined with a trash can in the foreground combines to add enough grit to make it believable. So a really great way of describing this particular image. And again, such a great series. And Fidel has several black and white series available on OpenSea, and is continuing to release work as well. So it's been really fun to see how he's moved forward in this space and the encouragement that he's offered to others that are starting off their journey. Now, another artist that we have featured in this particular set is Eric Rubens. And Eric is actually based out of Southern California, and he's grown an audience of nearly 1 million across his social media platforms. And he's said that growing up on the California coast, he was captivated by color and the energy of the ocean. He formerly played professional tennis and worked as an engineer before dropping it all to pursue his love of travel and photography. Some of his clients include Sony, Disney, Four Seasons, United Airlines, BMW, American Express, Belmont, Callaway Golf, and more. So there's a high probability that you have seen an image of Eric's out there in the world. And the particular piece that we have selected for this display is called California Christmas, and it is from the collection Ocean Intersection. And the particular collection includes 50 different images celebrating the beautiful intersection as surfers meet the ocean. He says, ever since I was young, I've been captivated by the emotions surfers have entering and leaving the water and compelled to find a way to share the energy and colors of that fleeting moment. Whether you've stood on a wave or watched from a distance, the symbolic partnership between a surfer and a wave is a beautiful relationship to observe. This series captures the perfect recipe I've searched for and will continue to chase for the rest of my life. Just as a surfer seeks one last wave, I've spent the last 8 years chasing sunset swells and capturing the aurora of the golden hour one day at a time. No two waves are alike, no two sunsets are the same, and the combined forces of the two have become a recipe that's fueled my love for photography. Euphoria on walking in, gratitude on the way out, and the ride of a lifetime in between. Can't we all hope that for our lives? Euphoria on the entrance, gratitude on the exit, and the ride of a lifetime in between. But this particular piece that is so unique with it having the beautiful colors, the reflection, and so unusual to have the Christmas tree included as well. But this piece was captured at Laguna Beach, California. And Alpha has said that the surfing theme combined with a beautiful sunset, a reflection from a perfectly still water, and the analogy of an unnaturally lit tree creates a strong emotional response. So again, I guess we are right on the same page, but this is a beautiful image and really, really love how Eric's passion for things that he loves shines through in his work and that he's able to actually pursue that passion. And it's really exciting that in the Web3 space, it can continue him on that career path of being able to pursue his dreams. Now, our next artist is another one that definitely is notable in the surfing arena. This photographer is Woody Gooch, and Woody is self-taught by simple curiosity, but he's widely known for framing his focal subject with the natural world around it. It says that adding a visual depth you won't find in the run-of-mill photography today. More artist than technician, he captures life in ways few seem to, uniquely utilizing movement and negative space to communicate the emotions of any given moment. And this particular collection is a combination of images that were captured by Woody Gooch over 7 different continents. So it's actually entitled 7 Atmospheres. This is one of my favorite collections. It's been introduced into the NFT space. Woody's actually a photographer that I recognize his work. Absolutely love his surf style, his travel style, just beautiful, iconic images. And actually, it's really interesting. Woody began his photography career as a teenager, and he had actually had his work published several times by the time he was 18. So just another one of those that picked up the camera, and it was such a natural fit. But it's also been fun to hear from him about his work and his passion. in the NFT space. I've gotten to tune into a few spaces that he hosted with Barry Sutton and 96 Studios. This work was actually introduced into the NFT space in conjunction with Barry Sutton's 96 Studios to really help him onboard into the community. So great to have that connection. But to tell a little bit more about this particular collection, it says Woody Gooch's 7 Atmospheres transports viewers through a dreamscape of raging oceans, contemplative landscapes, and cosmic theater. Often featuring friends and locals engaged in a dance with Mother Earth, the collection of 100 works reads like a poetic journey across Morocco, Indonesia, Mexico, New Zealand, Japan, Australia, and the United States. Coming from a deeply personal reverence for the beauty and diversity of the natural world, 7 Atmospheres is equal parts travel journal, daydream, and meditation. This is Woody Gooch's Genesis NFT collection, curated by Barry Sutton for 96 Studio. And the particular piece that we selected from this collection is entitled Here We Go. And I just absolutely love this piece. It captures such a lifestyle, such a vibe. Love the mountains in the background, but also you just have this appreciation for life, for experiences, and for excitement. Just a beautifully captured photo, and one that makes you wish that you could join the journey. And Alpha has said that Woody is so good at using a vibe, nostalgic here, to create a feeling of longing and familiarity. That's why top brands from around the world seek his vision. And I have to agree. So really exciting to have an artist like Woody coming into the NFT space and the opportunity to be able to collect some of his one-of-one photographs. I have collected 4 from this series, and they are probably some of my favorite in my collection. So very, very excited about that. And now we're going to introduce a photographer that we've mentioned several times already in this episode, Barry Sutton. Barry is actually based out of New York, but he has a lot of experience in the photography world. He's actually spent the last 3 decades photographing youth culture, musicians, celebrities, and fashion in London, New York, Los Angeles, and Miami Beach. His work has been published in French Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, New York Times, T Magazine, Ocean Drive, Complot, Loft, Newsweek, USA Weekly, and People, and he regularly takes on commissioned work in portraiture and fashion. And he has launched his first retrospective 96-degree shade as NFTs. And this was a collection that launched on August 7th of 2021. So we actually celebrated the 1-year anniversary for this particular collection. And upon celebrating the 1-year anniversary, we also celebrated that it had generated 100 ETH in that time period, which is really, really exciting. So 100 photos generated 100 ETH in 1 year's time. So this Genesis collection, 96 Degrees in the Shade, is the collection that we are featuring a piece from for this particular exhibit. And the pieces within this collection were captured between 2003 and 2007. And when released into the NFT community, the entire 100 pieces sold out within 3 days, which is really, really remarkable. But I really love this piece, this collection. It's very, very iconic. I have listened to Barry talk about this particular collection, and it's really amazing to hear the stories and really just his ability to be able to come in and capture this community of people. Some were models, some were just friends, but really to be able to capture this moment in time and really to appreciate the culture here in Miami. This is a really, really cool moment that won't happen again. But the particular piece that we have selected from this collection is entitled Trisha and Joey, South Beach, number 35. And just such a playful piece, and also, of course, with the surfboard and being out on the beach, it's very iconic to Miami, but just a really, really great piece from this particular collection. And since launching this collection, Barry has been very active, both with growing the community around 96 Degrees in the Shade collection, releasing several other NFT collections, featuring different elements of his portfolio, but also helping to onboard other artists like Woody Gooch, and also doing some creative projects like I mentioned with 10 Lizards and Robert LeBlanc. And he's also helped to onboard other artists into the NFT space, and really excited for him to continue to do so, and really appreciate his understanding for what Web3 holds for the future of photography, and really wanting to be a catalyst to let others experience what he has experienced by bringing 96 Degrees in the Shade into the NFT space. I got to meet him recently in New York when I was there to attend a Justin Aversano exhibition, and it was just really, really amazing to get to hear his story, and really it was such a great reminder of that connection that you make with people here in the NFT space and how possible anything is. And actually, Justin Aversano was one of the very first collectors of the 96 Degrees in the Shade collection, followed shortly by G Money, and that was something that really helped spur some excitement and appreciation for this particular collection. It's also notable that, at this time period, photographers were really starting to understand that they could be appreciated for just their photography. Prior to this, there was some thought process that maybe they needed to animate their images or change their images in some way to fit into the NFT space, but it's been very exciting to see that actually isn't the case, that there is a strong appreciation for photography in its form, and then further backed up by the provenance provided by the NFTs and smart contracts. So it was great to meet Barry and be able to hear that firsthand from him. And Alpha has shared that Barry is a builder, selflessly tackling issues in order to benefit every artist in the space. He's also a damn great photographer and a master of a feel-good vibe. And I could not agree more. And our last photographer that we'll be featuring in today's episode is also an amazing photographer and a very, very passionate community builder here in the NFT space. His name is Alejandro Cartagena, and he is a co-founder of Obscura DAO and also Fellowship Trust. And he also often host Twitter spaces with Barry Sutton. They came into this space at similar times, have known each other in the photography community, and have also been a good support both for themselves, but for also onboarding others into the NFT space. But as a photographer, Alejandro works both with photography and video, but he really wants to explore issues of identity, place, and the environment. His work has been exhibited widely and is in the collections of major international museums. This particular series that we're featuring in this exhibit is from his Carpoolers collection. Really, really love this collection. It is such a uniquely captured and also such an emotive collection, and one in which people from all different interests have really connected with. But to tell you a little bit more about this particular collection, it was created in Mexico from 2011 to 2012, and it offers a different take on carpooling. And he continues his pointed investigation into the multiple and complex issues related to the unhampered suburban expansion. These images show how carpooling is practiced by workers in Mexico. They are an accurate observation of overgrowth issues in Mexico, where suburbs are being built in faraway lands with no proper public transportation to the urban centers, causing greater commutes and a consumption of gas. Even though these workers are not conscious of the ecological impact they have by traveling this way, they are doing so to save money and time. They are a silent contributor to the preservation of our city and our planet. And so you'll see within this Carpoolers collection, which you can also, it's available as NFTs, but also available in book form. But there's just these amazing images of different people being captured riding in the back of vehicles. And Alejandro actually captured these images from up above. And the timing, there's some things about it that just really interest me. The timing that he must have had to master to capture these images so well is really intriguing just on the technical side, but also just the discoveries he was able to make from this vantage point. And this phenomenon that's happening is just so interesting. And a really cool personal detail that I've heard Alejandro mention about this is he actually can relate to this form of carpooling because as a young child, he actually also rode in the back of trucks on his way to construction jobs. His grandfather was a foreman, and this is how he would also transport his crew to and from work sites. So it's always amazing how, things change, things develop within our life, and we may be experiencing different things along the way that relate to our previous years. Now, this particular work is shown in museums like the San Francisco MoMA, MoFA, and the J. Paul Getty. And the piece that we are including in this particular series, in this particular exhibit, is Carpoolers number 40. And this is one of the 50 images that have been released as NFTs. And I really love this particular piece that Alpha selected and was able to acquire. There's many things about it that make it so iconic. I love that there's a motorcycle so close to the truck, which is an interesting detail. Many of these images only have one vehicle present. So I do like that the vantage point is slightly more removed and including another passenger. If you look really closely at the image, you can actually see in the reflection of the windshield all the traffic around. So it really lets you understand how chaotic and busy the surroundings are. But the two men that are there in the back of the truck, they do seem to be very calm, just kind of waiting for the next thing, whether they're waiting for their day to start or they're resting from having a really active day. But it's just such a great image, and the whole series is such an interesting one to explore. And Alpha has said that Alejandro is a true luminary. He has shaped the paths of many artists and collectors in Web3. Carpoolers is a timeless series that will be a staple in any serious Web3 photography collection. And I have to agree with him. And it's going to be really exciting too to see as this particular collection continues its journey, and the same with Alejandro. As we've mentioned, it's been recognized in by many different serious institutions, but I am very excited to see where that journey continues. And Alejandro has touched the lives of so many artists coming into the Web3 space, but also is really helping to build a foundation of trust to be able to help collectors and others in the ecosystem really begin to gain that footing, which we need so desperately to be able to help the Web3 space continue to grow. So it's been great to get to know Alejandro and also learn more about his work. So in this particular set of 8 photographers and 8 photos that are included in our travel and lifestyle set, we can see that there are many influential voices and people that are really working hard to create such a wonderful ecosystem for the Web3 space. So really enjoyed getting to do this deep dive into the photographers and the photos that we have selected. There's always so much more behind it. Something I personally love about the Web3 space is we're able to first be intrigued by these beautiful images and stories, and then have the opportunity to actually connect with the people behind the images. And I think that this particular episode really does highlight how amazing the people that are creating the work, how incredible they are, and the differences that they're creating for the Web3 space. So again, this is episode 9 of a 12-part series where we're featuring photographers and photographs that are currently on exhibit at Venice Biennale in Venice, Italy. This is a sponsored exhibit by MetaJungle that we're doing in conjunction with SuperChief, and really excited to be able to expose really the general public to photography in Web3. So that has really been our focus with the curation of this particular exhibit. Please, if you've enjoyed this, share, comment, like. We'd love to hear from you. And also, if you'd like to connect with any of the collections or artists that we have mentioned in this episode, please check out the show notes down below. We have their information listed. There's 8 previous episodes to this that are also sharing the photography that we are highlighting in this exhibit, and turn on that notification so you can also be aware of when we're dropping episodes 10 through 12. So each of these episodes will be presented during the month of November as we're celebrating this in real life exhibit, and hopefully we will be doing this on a regular basis where we'll have other locations to share in real life exhibits. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute honor to get to share with you about these photographers, and I look forward to next time.